All right, welcome back. I am late to the party. You might be late to the party. There has been a huge change in VR for iRacing. Um, I do not usually read much of the iRacing notes with the updates, and this totally caught me by surprise. Prepare for a cliche. Here it comes. This is a game changer. This is huge. This is huge. I was on the fence. I will post my hardware in the comment or in the description below. Um, I am, however, running a 4080, and I was on the thinking about having a real think about upgrading to a 50 series 5080 or 5090. I have a Varjo Areo headset, and I've never been able to maximize its performance, its usage in iRacing. This is a big change right here. VR mode, foveated rendering in game. Um, so with my system, the SPS was the old option. Uh, my CPU was never really taxed. It was my GPU that was doing most of the work, and the SPS helps remove some of the work from your CPU if you're CPU bound, and then move it on to the graphics card to do the work. So for me personally, SPS actually was a small hit to performance, just because my CPU really wasn't being maxed out. This foveated rendering, so this is creating sharp resolution in the center of your view, but on the outskirts of your view and the peripherals, the resolution is reduced. My headset does this on its own. However, this being in-game makes a huge difference to performance. This really a massive improvement. Uh, in my headset particular, a lot of the headsets out there have the ability to alter to change the resolution from a lower setting to a higher setting. In mine, I can change it from 30 ppd, 30 pixels per degree, to 39 ppd, and I had been running it at 33 with all the options turned up. I could run it at 35, but I would have to reduce some of the options. But now, the maximum is 39. I can run it at 39. However, I do have to reduce some of the options. So I did opt to go with 37 ppd and have most all the options maxed out. And it is an incredible difference. It is really good. So get into your options and check this. It will really improve your VR experience in iRacing, and prepare to play around with some of these settings as well if you don't have them maxed out. So I won't really go into all of these. You can see them here. This is what I have for VR. I'm recording this on my monitor, of course, but this is my VR settings. So really the big thing, just to go over really quickly, is the MSAA. FXAA, SMAA, in my opinion, they kind of stink. MSAA is where it's at. It really makes things look a lot nicer. It is the higher performance option, and with this you should be able to get into this quite easily. 2, 4, and 8 are the numbers. Two actually visually is a bit of a hit. It is not as nice as it could be with 2 times. 8 times is really nice, but 8 times is a really big resource uh, eater. 4 times is looking really nice and still does give you uh, or does not give you that big performance hit. Um, and then you go into the options here: soft, neutral, sharp, simple. Soft is a little bit blurry on the edges, not too bad. Sharp actually looks really nice in the cockpit. In things up close it looks nice, but in the distance, actually fences, barriers, light posts, things like that, I find them they actually get a little jagged if you choose sharp. Simple um, has Simple and neutral are pretty darn close. I can't really tell the difference. However, simple may be a little bit of a resource hit, just because it's using older technology and requires more pixels in there to receive the same value as neutral. So neutral is where it's at. That's where I'm going with. Um, So the one thing I will mention, this is at 4 times. Um, this and what I suggest you do is set your VR settings on a resource heavy track. I'm using Cadwell Park for my testing. I know it's a pay track. If you don't own it, you should own it. It is a great track to drive, and it is, I think, probably the most resource taxing track I've come across. If you don't own it and you're not planning on owning it, uh, one of the good free ones is Zandvoort. Zandvoort is with the updated track, is fairly resource heavy, and that will give you a really good benchmark for your VR settings. And what I suggest is, and what I've done is I've set my settings for Cadwell Park. This runs Cadwell Park at 90 FPS for me. Now, if I go to a track that is less resource taxing, I can change this to 8 easily. If you set your settings on a track that is not resource heavy, and then you get to a track that is resource heavy, you're going to have to do a lot more changes to avoid those big jumps in FPS. So set your VR settings on a track that is hard on your VR, and then it's very easy when you go to a track that is easier on VR that you can just turn the settings up. Um, far easier than trying to dial them back. Now, the other thing I want to touch on is foliage, and I know a lot of people will be rolling their eyes. Everyone's focusing on the car in front of them or behind them or the apex, trying to go fast around the track. But part of iRacing is immersion, and having that foliage turned on does improve the immersion. And give it a try, you'll see what I mean. Now, the foliage comes with 3 levels: low, which is obviously not very taxing on your system, but it also does not give you a whole heck of a lot of extra visual content. Medium does make things look nicer, and obviously it's not quite as taxing as high. Uh, give medium a try for sure. And if your system can do it, try high. High does give you a hit in performance for sure, but with this new VR mode, boy, you can get away with a lot here. And high makes the track look so much nicer. And obviously, try this on a track with foliage. Don't go to Detroit and turn foliage on, because that ain't gonna do nothing. So try this. It's a tip from me to you. This really does improve the immersion having that foliage on. So give that a whirl. It really does make a difference. So yeah, remember, change this to the foveated rendering. And also remember, another trick is have your display, your monitor display, turned down. When you're in VR, I find having your display set to maximum, especially if you're running a 4K monitor, that does reduce your VR performance. So watch out for that. So we'll see you out there. Hopefully I will be posting a video in VR next week that looks nicer and runs smooth. And we'll see you on track. We'll see you next time. Good luck.